This is MacVoices TV. This edition of MacVoices TV is brought to you by Rogue Amoeba, makers of fine audio software such as Airfoil. With Airfoil, you can send audio all around your house. That's Airfoil by Rogue Amoeba at rogueamoeba.com. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is MacVoices TV at Macworld 2011 in San Francisco. We're in the Navigon booth talking to Johan about the newest updates and releases from Navigon. Johan, it's great to have you on MacVoices TV.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I know Navigon made a couple announcements here at the show. I'm going to ask you to take us through them, because last year we found out just how good Navigon is. Now you've just made it better.
Yeah, that's right. So at this show we announced our car kit for the iPhone. So we have a navigation application that turns your iPhone into a navigation device. Now we also have a car kit that you can use to mount your iPhone onto the windshield, and also has an extra long connection cable so you can power up your iPhone, because if you use GPS system, it really drains the battery pretty quickly, so we really recommend using a power source. And we also released an update recently that turns the app into a universal app. So now it runs natively on the iPad and on the iPhone. So you don't have to pay extra. Once you own the app, you can just install it also on your iPad. And we customized a lot of the menus on the iPad because you have a lot more screen to work with. So we have a lot of split screens, for example, in the menus. We have a feature called Reality View Pro that shows you which lane you have to take and also the actual road signs. And that one actually is in a split screen, so you see the map and that overview of where you have to be.
As good as the iPad app was, as good as the iPhone app was, it's still an iPhone app. It's still, in the grand scheme of things, a little bit of a smaller screen. And the voice commands were usually very helpful. With an iPad app, you've got a lot of screen there to work with, so you can give me a lot more information and make it a lot easier to change or request additional information.
No, yeah, that's really true. I mean, you have a better overview of what's going on, and especially because we provide so many additional information. It's not only directions, not only turn right into Main Street, but it's also about the speed limits. So you get a warning whenever you exceed the speed limit, and you can set that in the options. If you wanted to set it 5 miles above or 10 or 20, you can do that.
20? 20?
No, really, some people. I've talked to some people at the show, and they even say, "Man, 20? No, I want to turn it off, because it annoys me." So you kind of have to think about their driving style. But yeah, you can do that. And what's really great about the iPad too is you can use it for route planning. So when you're at home, to work on that little screen on the iPad to plan out a whole road trip, it could be kind of difficult. So now you can work with that big screen and lay out the route, browse through the map, see where you want to go, and then later on send that route to your iPhone. So you have basically a whole route planning tool here.
See, that's great. And those are the kind of things, again, as great as the iPhone is, it's not the best place to do certain tasks. Some it's perfect for, others, maybe not. And so if you can tap the power of the iPad, tap the power of the iPhone for what they're both best at, and that's what Navigon is doing.
Exactly, and to us it was also important that we don't charge extra for it. So it's a universal app. Once you own it, you use it on both devices.
Can you show us a little bit here?
Yes, I can show you a little bit. So if you're familiar with the Navigon interface, you know that we have different buttons where you can enter an address, search for a point of interest. On the iPad, we also show the map itself. You can easily browse through the map. You can look for parking options, and then we have split screens. So this screen doesn't capture the whole thing. And yeah, I can just load a route real quick for you. So this is a pre-programmed route that shows you our Panorama View 3D feature. And that feature actually shows you the environment in 3D. That looks really spectacular on the iPad. We actually use NASA data for this to create the digital elevations on the map. So here you already see some of the mountains in the back. Then up here we also have the speed limit. And one of the new features that we have is Zagat reviews. So we basically integrate the whole Zagat guide into our application. So when you look for a restaurant or when you look for a hotel, you have access to all the ratings and reviews from Zagat. So I can show it to you. You just go to the options here, and then you can add an interim destination, for example. You know, let's say just in a city. Sorry, too nearby. It comes up with restaurants, with hotels, golf courses even. And when you click on one of these, you can find all the single points of interest and find out more about that destination. And when you, this is especially helpful when you're familiar with the Zagat ratings. So you see them here, you see the actual review, and you see the opening hours and the address.
So I can be driving down the road. I know I'm hungry. I look up ahead on my route. I see a restaurant is there. I can tap this, find out exactly what I know about the restaurant, decide whether I want to stop.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can look at the map, and we usually have branded points of interest, like here, 7-Eleven, for example. So, you know, you can look at that point of interest and, you know, see what it is all about and how good it is, what the ratings are.
I'm not sure it shows up on the screen, but the 7-Eleven actually has the 7-Eleven logo, which is a really nice little touch.
Yeah, and that's something that's a unique feature that we have these brandings on there, because we think it's just easier to see on the map because you recognize these logos that you already know.
Sure, yeah. Once again, it's visual information, and we seem to be getting more away from text and more toward that kind of visual information that you don't have to, especially while you're driving, you don't want to take a lot of time to read. But if I glance up and I see a 7-Eleven logo, I know it.
Yeah, exactly. And so we also have a feature called Active Lane Assistant that we recently added to it, and that shows you which lane you have to take when you're driving. It shows you this ahead of time, and again, this is also a visual thing that we have. And now this is even animated. So you have a live lane animation that moves with you as you drive, you know, down the road.
You said something about you're actually showing us the road signs now. How do you accomplish that?
Okay, I can show it to you. That's all information that is in our map data and that we pull from that, because we use NavTech maps that are really premium maps. They're also stored on the device and they have a lot of information in there. So let me load a road real quick. It's a feature called Reality View Pro, and that shows you the actual road signs that you are of the intersection that you're approaching, and also which lane you have to be in. Just going to run a quick simulation.
And of course, right now we're having to run demos. This is a lot more seamless when you're actually using it and driving.
Yeah, exactly, because we don't have GPS signal in here, so that's...
We're not moving.
Yeah, and here you see the Active Lane Assistant that I was talking about earlier. So as you can see, it moves with you, which is more helpful because the lanes change as you move forward. And then once we get on the highway, you will see the feature called Reality View Pro. And on the iPhone version, because we don't have a big screen, this feature would cover up the whole screen. And here on the iPad, we'll see a split screen. And of course, you have to think about this. Some people might think the iPad is a little bit too big for their car, because if you mount this in the car, it really uses a lot of space. But some of the bigger cars, like RVs or trucks, it's really beautiful to use it in there. So it will come up in a second here.
Well, and you can't, I mean, admittedly, you probably wouldn't want to put this in certain places on your dashboard or on your windshield like you would an iPhone. But there are plenty of options now, mounting options that go to air conditioning vents or, you know, different kinds of mounts that you could put this down below the field of vision and still have access to all this. And there are your signs.
Yeah, and there are actually a couple of providers out there that offer mounts. ProClip, for example, is one. And like you said, they have a mount for the iPad, so you can mount it to the dash in the car. And there are people using that, because it's, especially if you don't listen to the voice too much, but you just want to look at the screen, then it's really good.
Well, and if you're traveling with someone, they can be working with this and entertaining themselves and getting lots of good information to help the driver, so the driver can just drive.
Yeah, that's true. And you can even do multitasking, because our app supports the multitasking function. So you can go out of the application, do something else, and you will still get directions.
Johan, what's the pricing right now for Navigon since it's gone to a universal app?
The pricing basically is still the same, but we have a lot of new regions regional versions. So you can start at $29.99 just for a regional version for the East Coast or West Coast, or you can go to $49.99 for the whole US, and then North America is $59.99.
That's great. And you do have versions, I guess, for Europe as well.
Yeah, we have a version for Europe, and then we also have versions for all kinds of other countries, South Africa, Australia. We recently launched India. We also have Brazil, Russia. So, when you travel, this is great because you don't need to take an additional device with you. You just take your phone or your iPad, you load those regional versions on it, and it supports all kinds of different languages. So.
Well, and if you get used to using Navigon in the U.S. and you travel to another country, you buy the Navigon version, you're familiar with the interface of this, it'll help you get where you want to go. That's a great idea.
That's very true. You can basically jump from the airplane onto your rental car and you're ready to go. Even if you don't know, where to head, you'll find your hotel. That's really...
And I don't have to buy a new application in a new language or a new area. I already know how to use this. Just put in my destination and go. Very nice, very nice. For the listeners who are not here and get to see this cool stuff here, where can they go? What's the website?
You can go to www.navigon.com for more information about the iPhone app, or you can also just go to the App Store, search for Navigon. Then you will find all the regional versions. When you click on them, you'll also find a feature overview and descriptions, screenshots.
Johan, thanks so much for the time. I know it's busy. We got a crowd behind us, so I'll let you get to them. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices TV at Macworld 2011. Back with more soon from the show floor. Thanks for watching.
MacVoices TV is part of the MacVoices Group and a member of Mac Level 10.